Is it appropriate if he could call in on my phone if he wanted to make any comments?
Oh, sure, and I would, it's a health issue, and he notified us in advance, so I would just respectfully urge that we give him an excused absence.
I would affirm that's an excused absence. And John, when I told you I received your email yesterday, if you happen to want to call in during member items, that number at the bottom of my email, I'll take my phone out during items if you wanted to make some comments. Is there any public comment today? Councilperson John King.
Good morning, John King. I wasn't going to say anything, but if you're going to have him call in, it would be wise to take a vote ahead of time, just to let him do that. It's the same as if you're doing a Zoom or something like that. Just
Yes.
covers everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Do I hear a motion for that?
I so move.
Moved by Chris, any second?
Second.
Second by Ted. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. John, if you want to call in during members' items, if you're watching, I will take my phone out and let you know when a good time is. Okay. Next, we have approval of minutes. We've got a copy of the minutes. Did everybody get a chance, or does anybody need an extra minute to go over the minutes? When everybody's ready, I'll entertain a motion.
I move we accept the minutes.
Moved by Chris.
Second.
Second by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay. On to our staff report. Looks like, Curtis, you have your stuff laid out, ready to go.
I do. So, of course, you have the items listed that I want to discuss with you. I added a few more that I'll bring to your attention as well. But number one on the list is the state removed the fishing pier underneath the bridge that was kind of very close to the dinghy dock and those two pylons right there. So all that is gone. And now that entire space is more open. It actually worked out perfect because we are coming up, the next project will be to replace the dinghy dock and get the new dinghy dock put in. We had the closal of our bid meeting on
See, Kurt,
last week.
if I could, on the removal of that fishing pier, there's a lot of people over the years have a lot of history on that fishing pier. You want to just describe what physically happened, how much construction or deconstruction there was, what they do with all that cement and iron, and just give people, because a lot of people spent time on that over the years. I think they'd be curious.
So, KBI came in, they had a barge, that they put in there cockeyed kinda, they had to get in there in a certain way because of, Matanzas End's pier right there that sticks out. But they were able to get in there pretty well. So what they did is they cut the pier in three different sections, and they pretty much removed a piece one day at a time. One piece, I talked to the contractor, one piece was about 60,000 pounds that they moved. And with that being so big, I mean, that took them about pretty much all day to do one piece. What they did is they put that on the barge. Once they got that on the barge, they left and they went back across the way, and they're disposing of the pieces of the pier. I think the longest thing that took them to be done was the two pilings that were by our dinghy dock. They had to dive down and cut that underwater at the mud line, and then they pulled them up after that. So it was about 4 days of work, but they did it pretty quick and seamlessly. Really, they did an awesome job.
I appreciate that. I'm just trying to test my memory. Was the fishing pier connected to the bridge in any capacity, or was it completely separate?
It was at one point connected to the bridge, I believe, and, so what happened was the old dinghy dock was a concrete dock, and, whenever Ian happened, we had the flood and everything, our dinghy dock lifted up that section of the pier and broke it, I believe. But there are reports, we had divers go down there, coastal engineering has dove that area before. Kelly Brothers dove down there, they looked off to the side to where people say that piece landed, but it's
Not there.
not there, yes, correct, as far as we know right now, so.
I have a
Thank you.
follow-up on that.
Yes, sir.
Is there any obstruction that we know of other than what's visible vertically? Does anything come out other than the straight vertical, what's left there that people are going to need to avoid coming into Dinghy Dock?
No, so there shouldn't be any obstruction. They cut those pilings down below
Straight
at the
up.
mud line, so all that area is wide open for you to maneuver.
What you see
in.
on top is what goes straight down?
Correct, because the pilings, so if you remember correctly, the pilings was the only thing that was kind of interfering. The other section of that pier that went across connected to the bridge platform. So really, the only part of that fishing pier that was an obstruction to the dinghy dock was those two pilings. Everything else was connected from the bridge structure already that's
Up
there
top.
right now. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
One last thing. Was that a state of Florida operation of Florida Department of Transportation? In other words, did they incur all the costs for that?
Yes,
All right,
yes,
thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you.
So next, I'm gonna skip down to number 3 since we're kind of already on this topic. We closed the dinghy dock bids last week. We had a meeting on that. We are moving forward to pick the best contractor or bid, and we were going to move forward and bring that to council, get that approved, and then award the contractor after that. So that's the next steps in
Did they
this-
bid
in
that
this
two different
project.
ways? Did they bid it
They
concrete,
did.
also aluminum?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And
We
is the
would.
cost difference quite a
It
bit?
is. It is. The concrete dock is a little bit more than the aluminum. So
When you say a little bit, can you give us a ballpark?
about $100,000 more
Okay.
is what that from all the bids. That's kind of what it was.
And did you
Difference.
indicate a preference at one point of?
I would prefer aluminum. I think that's our best bet. It would be easier to kind of save if we had another storm. It's a lot lighter, and also with the aluminum docks, it's easier to kind of add more to it if we wanted to do that down the road. And I think a lot more people are going with the aluminum. That's kind of like the new thing. It's
That's what I was gonna ask, is that the sort of new modern approach, the aluminum dock rather than the concrete?
correct. And I think for what we need, I think maybe the concrete dock might be a little overkill for what we need down there. But I just think all in all, I think the aluminum dock would be the better option.
Any maintenance different for barnacles, or is that bottom area about the same?
It's about the same. We're still gonna have to get somebody down there to clean it and all that.
Do you feel like you have a good representation of bidders and, they're pretty clustered, the bids are all pretty clustered in well? I don't know if we choose low bid, is that how that works?
I believe so.
You have to go low bid, so have you seen the bids?
I have.
So there's a good representation of good qualified bidders and no
Yes.
one's like super low or super high, they're
You
pretty.
got, between the lowest and the highest, there is kind of a big gap or difference between
Yeah.
the two. We only had 3 bidders, and the second one was in the middle of both of them. But I was happy with the bids that we got. I thought it was fair with some of them, so.
Is there a huge lifespan difference between concrete and aluminum that would justify going with a different price range? Are they about the same?
I'm not 100% sure on that, but the lifespan between the two is, that's something I could
No, I'm just
check on.
wondering, is that a factor, the maintenance cost and the lifespan, when you look at the pricing, does that make a difference? But, I mean, as you say, if the aluminum is the more modern approach, and that seems
Correct.
like it has a lot more benefits, then
Right.
that
And,
sounds good.
we're gonna have a discussion and everything on that, talk about that amongst the team here and, figure out what the best option is.
And is that in our budget then to get this thing rolling, or?
Yeah, so this is a FEMA project.
Okay.
Did they give a time of construction, a window of construction once it's approved? If, how far back they are, or was that in the bid about the time frame when they could get started and finish? Was there any discrepancy in those, or is that not part of the bid?
No,
Okay,
that's not.
that's when we get to negotiations.
Correct,
when
correct.
town gets negotiated.
Any more questions on the dinghy dock? Okay, I'm gonna move on. Just wanna update y'all on the mooring ball maintenance and, what our plan of attack is, moving forward with that right now. We have a couple of options we're looking into, get, either, some help with the maintenance of the mooring balls. We are looking into a few options. I think the best option that we are probably going to end up proceeding with would be coastal engineering is going to help us out. Considering I don't have divers right now, they're going to actually assist us and kind of teach us the ropes. I think it'll be a good learning option for us. So they can kind of explain exactly what they're doing, even though we have a good idea about it. They're gonna come in, send us 2 guys in a boat and help us do that. Our goal is to knock out about 15 a day or as many as we can do. So we're gonna be moving forward on that pretty quickly, hopefully within the next month.
And how often do you have to perform this maintenance service, just as a reminder for me?
Well, the maintenance is kind of an ongoing
Okay.
thing all year. I want a lot of the systems changed out before the start of the season, so I would say we're shooting for December to be done.
Chris, just one question. Wanted
sir.
an update on, I believe it's balls 5 through 9? That we've
Yes,
been
yes.
struggling with the Coast Guard or somebody with?
Correct, so I had a meeting with Bosun Neal at the Coast Guard facility here. I believe I had that right after we had our last meeting. I need to follow up with her. She had a meeting with Sector the next week. I have not been in contact with her since, so I gotta follow up on that. But she wanted to bring that to Sector. She thought that this is something that we could get resolved. If not, I told her, I think that there are some buoys right now that could be put back in service. I think they are not obstructing the channel. We can put a vessel length on them, so I don't put any vessels over that. So I told her, I was like, listen, if I can get like 3 or 4 up and running, that's a win.
So if you can
For us.
calculate the swing on it, you'll know how large we can go.
Correct. So the next thing to do is I told her that we would take a boat ride, kind of look at it, because she thinks that everybody's looking at these buoys and they're all looking at them from aerial aerial pictures. When you look at that, that's not exactly what it is when you're on the water and looking down the line to see it. So I think it can kind of be portrayed a little bit worse than it actually is right now with those buoys obstructing the channel. So it's something that I'm still, it's priority on my list, but it's been a longer process with them, so.
Well, that sounds like a good alternative. In the meantime, if we can't get the larger ones in there, if we could have a limit on the size that, that we
Correct.
could put in there, that would probably work temporarily. at
Yes,
least.
absolutely.
And then just to reiterate, you can't move those back further to the other side of the bridge.
Because of the seagrass.
Seagrass, so it's an environmental
Correct.
concern that we have.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
What do you think the length requirement would be on those 3 or 4 balls?
I would say 50 foot
50.
would probably be fine, because that's probably our most average, 40 to 50 foot
Right.
vessels in there. And we have balls 1 through 3, and those are for our bigger vessels as well. So, we would be all right with that as well. So, I mean, I'm talking like bigger vessels, like say if we get an 80-footer coming in and stuff. That's, I'll have its own ball out front for that, between balls 1 and 3. So we should be okay.
I don't think we have anything over 50 feet out on that side of the bridge anyways, those 3
We do
cats.
not.
And then there's that big motor sailor, but I think that's about 50 or just slightly under.
Correct. We had a bigger sailboat that was pushing 60 a little bit ago when I first started, but he's no longer. He already departed. So
So again, our limit is like 70 feet, isn't it?
it is. But if we have you can put in a special request through DACWA if your vessel is over that, and we can kind of try to make accommodations for you. But a lot has to go into that. I have to ask a lot of questions to make sure that we would be able to.
And we might need to
Support that
limit
vessel.
the adjacent,
Right.
the size of the adjacent ones for the swing also,
Yes,
if it came to that.
yes. All right, so next item I have is, just want to update y'all, the next FEMA project we will be getting into will be the debris removal in the mooring field, along with the canal projects and the removal of some of the debris in the canals as well. We were gonna try to put the dilapidated docks in that, but I don't think we're gonna be able to get that covered through FEMA.
What do you mean, put the dilapidated docks?
We were
in that?
trying to help the town and do some things, some of the docks that are,
Gotcha.
but that being some of those are residential.
Sure.
That's kind of a hard thing. We're trying to get that in to help the town.
And you said some of the canals, is this all of the public canals that this FEMA grant, or whatever it is, would cover?
I believe so.
And then, do you know, do you have a breakdown of how many canals in town are public versus there are private canals too, is that
Right.
correct?
Yes, and that's a question, I need to double check on that.
Okay.
Ed.
Thank you.
Curtis, on the last meeting, you mentioned an analysis for dredging. That's not a part of this with FEMA, right? Is it separate, or is that the same?
I believe that's gonna be separate
That's
with the
separate.
dredging. Yes,
And that's ongoing?
I believe so, yes, sir.
I spoke with Frankie the other day, and he's developing a strategy. No guarantees to try to get some federal and/or state funds to do some of the dredging for those canals, including our Laguna Shores area as well. So he's working on a couple ideas. I don't think he's ready to announce anything yet, but I think he's got a strategy to try to find that out.
Correct.
I guess, Jim, that kind of starts with an analysis, right? I mean, at some point, Does there need to be an analysis
The,
of?
the analysis, as I understand it, Kurt, is currently being done.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, they're doing an analysis of the current state of affairs of the canals, because we need to get that benchmark, in case, God forbid, we have another hurricane, then we'll be able to be more eligible for FEMA funding going forward. We weren't eligible at all because we'd never benchmarked the status of our canals. I'm seeing if Frankie walks by, I'm gonna grab him. But,
I'm
but,
gonna quit walking.
so, but, yeah, that is being done. But the actual cost of the dredging, that's a little bit more challenging to try to get the feds of the state to help, but I think Frankie's got a strategy. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kurt.
I believe he does, yes.
Okay.
So he's looking at current state and benchmarking that. Do we know what ideal state was or how they started out? Do we have anything to show the change?
I don't think that the results of that survey are done yet, but I think, again, what FEMA's looking for is, hey, what was it like before the storm,
Yeah.
and what was it like after, so we could then weigh what your needs are, and
Right.
you can have a data to benchmark that.
But do we know the before? Do we already have the before somewhere?
We don't have the before, which was a fault of the towns, in that we had no benchmark, we had no record of it. I see Chad's coming in. Did you want to opine on this, Chad?
Yeah, morning everybody.
Hey,
Chad
Chad.
Shoots, 10 Fort Myers Beach. So we're talking about dredging all the canals. Right now we have a stormwater analysis. We were able to work in looking at the canals as part of that conveyance system for stormwater. And they've got a draft analysis report which we're reviewing right now and meeting on later today. As part of that report, they will give us some typical cross sections. We have bathymetrics from the debris side scans and, a couple lines down each canal, kind of a crude bathymetric analysis nonetheless. You make assumptions, get a typical cross section. We can use that for permitting with the state and with Corps. Initial thought was to low hanging fruit, just do the exemption with the state and -5 mean low water, get the easy permits first, get it in place, and then we can devise another strategy for some of the more complicated permitting where we're connecting canals out to the channels, especially like on the southern end where the federal channel or the channel is a little bit off. And there's some navigational challenges down there. So when, get the easy permitting done, and then also with the funding scheme, MSBU, look at these canals, some of them private, some of them are, public right of way, basically, no submerged, landowners, just depending on which canal. So MSBU, could be devised to, spread that cost around the benefiting properties, and use that as a funding mechanism for these, for dredging these canals where the property owners want that done.
Use that acronym MSBU, why don't you?
Yeah, sorry, Municipal Service Benefiting Unit. So it's a tax that goes, we have to put it through the commissioners and gets put on the tax bill. Right now, it's another on the to-do list, to understand all the mechanisms for that and get it, you gotta.
I think, Chad, I think that is a strategy, but I believe Frankie was working on some other funding sources as well, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. He's always working on, talk to him and understand what he's working on, but I know we've reached out with, possibly legislative grants. I'm not sure what else he has up his sleeve.
Yeah, if he cuts through, we'll try to snag him, yeah.
Sure.
But thank you.
Yep. Any other questions?
Thanks, Chad.
Thanks, Chad.
No worries.
Oh, Chad, I'm sorry. I had one more, sorry. When they start planning to try to do some dredging and picking priorities, do we have designated spoil areas, or that's gonna be a whole nother topic of where to put all this spoil? Or is there possibly places where we need it, or it's,
Yeah,
doesn't?
so, short answer is, no, we don't have designated spoil areas. We would put it onto the contractor to negotiate with private, property owners to, use their land to, stage and handle the material.
Oh, I was thinking in the water. I forgot, we do land spoil and then transport, right? Is that what
Yeah.
you, okay, so there won't be a in-water spoil area. It'll be land transport, huh, mostly?
Right, so you're talking about like island buildings?
Yeah, I thought maybe we needed it somewhere.
And that's another, we'd have to talk to the navigation district, and that's another kind of level of permitting if we wanted to try and pursue that strategy.
But the normal is to find empty lot and truck.
Yeah, and then, I mean, as a long-term strategy for this town, you know, we're always gonna be an island that needs dredging, that needs areas, and some strategic planning for having, staging and handling sites, you know, mixed use. It could be, you know, you have a piece of property that, you know, somewhere down south, somewhere kind of in the middle, and somewhere up north, just to kind of cover your different areas where you can go to. And it's, you know, the town owns it, and it could be, you know, staging and handling is something to think about, something y'all can discuss, and as you see fit. I know there's always challenges with neighborhoods and not in my backyard, but, once we get built out again, that same challenges that we have with the Laguna Channel dredge, will, rear its ugly head.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just digress for a second, Chad, I've just seen on social media a lot of, I'm not sure it's good information with respect to when the beach renourishment is going to be completed. I was under the impression in a perfect world, it'll be completed by the end of the year. Is that still the strategy?
We're still on schedule, and, I've asked the questions for contractor, and he's assured me we're still on schedule.
So the folks on the south end, particularly Leonardo Arms area, they should see relief before the end of the year in a perfect world?
That's what we're aiming for.
Okay, great. It's just helpful. I'd seen a number of different estimates on social media. It's helpful for you to clarify that. Thank you.
Yeah, we're right now, we're getting through some pretty heavy sections, so, you know, not every segment of the beach is different with, the volume of sand that needs to be placed, so, right now, we're getting through some pretty heavy sections, so it is a little bit slow moving.
And one thing too, and again, if the committee would indulge me, I think it's interesting. As I understood it from the engineer, particularly on the south end, maybe it's true on the north end as well, we're seeing a pretty massive increase in the size of the beach, which is great. But I think initially, after that first 6 months to a year, there'll be some natural, I hate to use the word erosion, but for lack of a better term, and then you'll have more of a beach at that point. So what we see today will fade naturally for a little bit, and then it'll kind of settle into its natural, I'm sure there's better language than this, but you know what I'm talking about.
It'll equilibrialize.
Yeah.
One way
Yeah.
I've heard it said, sorry, the word's always tough for me. So, there'll be a initial, fairly big erosional event, you know, as it comes to, settle, and then there's 10 years of erosion on top of the design beach, so, that will fade over that 10 years. You know, storms happen, and it happens a little bit more quickly, but,
Thank you.
yes, sir, you're welcome.
Hey, Chad, I'm just curious, I mean, because I don't have the background for it, but, and with your experience, so the town has kind of been remiss in the past by not having a formal plan for canal for analysis and dredging, and that created the issue of not being able to receive FEMA funding.
So
Sort of, right?
there was a maintenance plan,
Okay.
that was done by Hans Wilson, years, if not over a decade ago. But there was not any, I think only one canal was actually dredged, but there was not a ongoing maintenance plan. And correct, without that ongoing maintenance plan, we're looking at it, we're surveying it, you know, and then, dredging whenever it's needed. An active plan is needed for FEMA reimbursement to be eligible, yes, sir.
Is that something that you know, based off your experience, you would be accustomed to seeing in other similar type of municipalities with this many canals and things, that you would see a more formal plan and maintenance program?
Yeah, I mean, we had a formal plan, it just wasn't active.
Oh,
If that makes sense. So we have, you know, I can send you all some paperwork that we had, and, there was, you know, some surveying work done with the residents that were there.
was it because of funding? Is that why we didn't do it? I mean, I'm
That
just
would be
curious.
my guess.
Okay.
I've only been here for 5 years, so,
Okay, I just wanted some
but
baseline.
it's
for it.
something that Curtis and I are committed to working towards and get going again, so that we can be, better situated.
Thank you.
I would be interested in that historical information if you can find it.
Yes, sir. I'll
I
get
mean,
it right over to you. I'll
just
have it on
be,
my
for
drive.
some reason, I find that interesting reading.
It just seems like such a critical part to the island, you know what I mean? The
Yeah.
canals are,
Yeah, the continuity
Yeah.
of knowledge is important, so happy to share.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chad. Back to Curtis.
Alrighty.
regularly scheduled program.
All right, so the next item I have is, got an update on the, informational cards about the mooring field, something that we've been trying to work on, and, I know that y'all would like to see stuff for the mooring field and, things to do for the boaters and stuff like that. So I got this that got put across my desk, I think, this is, I believe from Chambers, and they created this, and this is something that we are gonna use outside of our informational board. And I've also talked with Nicole, and I showed her this, and this is something that, maybe we could, put on our website or add this QR code to it maybe, and kind of, piggyback off of them a little bit on this, because this pretty much has everything on the island,
Perfect.
and front and back and stuff like that. So I'm gonna pass this around for y'all to see, and y'all can tell me what y'all think about that.
I love you not recreating the wheel. I mean, if it's already there, just
Correct.
use it.
We got grocery store and trolley stops on there?
I believe it does.
It's great.
If not, if we could definitely include grocery, CVS, and trolley stops, I think those are the,
Trolley stops.
and
Yeah.
anything else that you think that these patrons are gonna use the most.
Sir.
And while you're on that, I do appreciate the link that Nicole put onto the website for Plan Your Visit. I think
Correct.
that's great, goes right to the chamber information, so people can search that at their leisure and there's, again, use it if it's already out there. They can keep it updated, so it's not something that you guys have to worry about.
Maybe you don't know because that's a chamber document there, but is the map driven by advertising? I mean. in
Looks
other
like it on
words-
the back.
Yeah, right.
That might be, but I don't know if, I think there's a pretty more holistic list on their website. I don't think that's
Okay.
necessarily advertising or membership driven.
Sure. But I mean, advertising's great to pay for the production of that map, but I would be hesitant if someone wasn't included in the map because they didn't advertise for the map. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does. It'd be something to look into.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's waterproof.
Yes, it does.
Well, I'm actually getting a few laminated actually to make it.
Yeah.
Even
And then the
more.
ones that we actually hand out, if they're that material, at least it's better than paper. If that gets wet,
So,
it's still
so
usable.
that's something I'm still gonna be working on. That's, I probably am gonna make something smaller for like handouts. That's more, that has, more kind of like a smaller like postcard, if you will, something along that lines, or like a business card in a sense, with our information and our links and everything to access all that
Just
information.
QR code on there or something.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
And hasn't the chamber already also put together little island brochures that have a map and fold out, like I see them when I go to Wahoo Willie's, they're in the little stand there. So, I mean, I think those
Yes,
already
and
exist as well.
And I believe we are, gonna be having goodie bags too, to give out
Okay.
to the boaters. I think that was mentioned in our last meeting, so, I'm still working on that
Yeah,
process right now.
yeah, and I think what would a boater really want? Do they want a lot of paper? Do they want access via the web? I don't know. I'm guessing that paper on a boat is not necessarily a great idea.
Yeah, I think more, the boaters are very, adaptable to the internet. I think they prefer that, like you said, they have, they are used to living with,
Yes,
less,
less.
There's
so.
limited space there.
Correct,
Yes.
correct.
I think a QR code,
Yeah.
at the dock where they know just go on there and, I mean, 'cause that's not updated, I mean, at least, electronically it's gonna be updated. There's gonna be a lot of
Correct,
changes,
correct.
so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as the island gets better and we rebuild, more restaurants and things are coming up to be added to that, so that's going to be, changing, but the biggest thing is having that QR code there.
Mhm.
So, and that's something I'll talk with the chambers on and see if we can, see how frequent they're going to be updating that.
I have a suggestion. I know while we're on the goodie bag thing, our most popular thing that we gave away at our Cruisers Appreciation Day, which maybe we can check into now to put in our goodie bag, it's a real lifesaver, is the buoy keychain things. And we did an order of, we had several hundred of them left over. They weren't that expensive, but maybe we can go back, I'm thinking maybe 2 years before the storm, we did Cruiser Appreciation Day. We ordered a huge box of them, and they were pretty inexpensive. The boaters use them. It's got all our contact information on them. So
If I could
we're
say-
probably gonna end up ordering them for the,
I still have one in our key.
I do too, maybe.
vault,
I got a couple of them. Maybe I
and
should
they
drop
are-
one off.
They are
to-
tremendous,
They're-
very cool.
You can
yeah.
keep your money in them, you can keep your keys in them, you can attach your goodie bag to it, so if it falls overboard, it floats.
Make a comment about this.
Sure.
It gives all the little shops that I'm sure are, uh, advertisers, it doesn't have the marinas on it. The places that I think the boaters want, I don't think are represented on this.
Good point, Ted, and if we are gonna include the marinas, we might wanna designate which ones have fuel, ship stores, and, so haul out amenities, ramp, any of those items. If we're gonna put marinas on it, maybe exactly what kind of services they have, especially the gas and the ship stores.
I didn't see the,
Yeah.
public store on there.
So, I mean, my suggestion would be not to create something new, but, maybe talk to the chamber about the next time they do that. Could they include other things, or do they have another resource we could use that would include some of the things that we're most interested in? Because I just don't want us to be in the business of creating maps and creating
Right.
publications that will soon become out of date. So,
Understood.
Well-
that investigation of what is possible, working together, to me, seems like a good way to go.
I was just gonna say, if anything else, that what they have there is a good template,
Exactly.
yeah, to get started in.
And maybe we can add and modify it, and that way the printer will just have to make another run instead of starting
Right.
from.
And again, I would see if we could do it in conjunction with somebody else who would benefit, rather than just for,
Right.
a few 100,000, few thousand voters.
And if anything, we can make the marina card and stuff like that, and then run and
Exactly.
use that as well,
Yeah. It's a good thing. It may not be the be-all, end-all, but again, like you said, maybe you focus a marina card more on the marinas and the 4 things that people are looking for. They're looking for the upland facilities, they're looking for the grocery store, they're looking for, CVS or something.
Those two I did not see on there, the
Yeah,
grocery store.
right,
And the marinas for fuel and.
right, exactly.
Right. I got it.
Is there one for bus stops already out there somewhere?
There are trolley maps.
Okay.
So,
So we probably just need the website for that one. to
Yeah,
get that.
exactly. I mean, and it's pretty easy to pull that up. And there's also an app that people can put on their phone that will tell you when it's coming toward you. I just wrote it last week, super easy. I was the only person on it.
And if y'all like, I can look into that with Nicole and maybe see if we can add the trolley link to our
Yeah.
website page.
Yeah.
Well, I just think it's like you were mentioning earlier, Curtis, that they're not gonna wanna carry around huge maps with them, so the QR code is a really good idea, because everyone's got a cell phone and they can find those maps.
I agree, and I think a kiosk at the dinghy dock is where you
Right.
scan that at,
And if there's
Yeah.
something, I don't know what's there, but I mean, if you can have some things behind plexiglass and you can show a
Right.
big map and you can show a few
Like that.
things.
Throwing that up there, and on the backside of it.
So
it's
we
like-
have a informational section down there at the dinghy dock. I'm actually looking into, probably gonna have to put a second one in soon.
But you can't miss it. It's in a great spot.
It
Everybody
is,
sees
because
it.
right, when they come off the dinghy dock, it's right there,
Mhm.
so, no, it's in a good location. I think I have some room there to add to
Yeah.
it.
It's a great idea.
I just signed that.
Okay,
So, don't forget.
I was gonna get with you. Alrighty, I got 2 more items to run by you real fast, and then, that'll be it that I have. So, we are helping Salty Sam's right now while they are getting their docks fixed or redone, I should say. We are helping them. We are pumping out their pirate ship, and along with one of their dolphin sightseer vessels as well. The town has come up with an agreement for them or with them. I worked with legal on this, and that is going to be brought to council on the meeting in October.
You're working on an agreement for this pumping that you're doing?
Just to have an agreement
Okay,
in place for both parties, and it covers both parties moving forward when we do work or help out with other marinas or other entities in town. We're going to be putting an agreement in place just to cover us.
great.
That's just the way we're moving forward and doing things.
And as far as Salty Sam's goes, I was just there yesterday. It is an amazing marina going in there.
It is, it
It's top of the line.
It is. It's very nice, and I don't know if you noticed, but their docks, those single docks coming out, they're all aluminum docks.
Yep.
So they are. Yep.
Super nice.
I mean, as you're having those conversations with them, I mean, I still, I know we talked about it in the past about upland facilities, on that side where they have parking and stuff, I mean, so maybe the more we work on that might
Correct.
give us an
Correct.
opportunity.
They've
to talk
also offered us to use so their vessels can't get in, our vessel can, and we have access to their pump out station to basically offload our vessel after we pump them out. So that's by doing this, that has we have a second option on the other side of the island now to pump out our pump out boat if we need to. And then the last topic I have here is I know that this was a big topic last meeting, and was the increase in rates. So after looking at things again more thoroughly in the numbers and where other marinas are at, I think right now we've just decided to only increase the daily rate. So it's only the daily rate that's changing. We have bumped that up $5. The monthly rate is staying the same. We noticed that we would kind of price ourselves out a little bit. That was too steep of an increase. So we're going to keep it the same right now for the monthly rate. The daily rate, pretty much for like weekend people that come in, that's where that's going to tailor to. Our long-term people still get that monthly rate. So we're going to test that out this year, see how that goes, see if we need to increase the rates, the monthly rate next year. But we'll see how this goes right now. So that is going to be brought to council for approval.
Kurt, just as a friendly heads up.
Yes,
when we
sir.
were- When we were having our budget conversation and votes the last couple weeks, we were going through the fee schedule, and a number of my colleagues on the council expressed an interest in pricing the more desirable locations of the mooring fields a little bit higher than some of the less desirable ones. So I
Correct.
just wanted to give you a heads up, and when you come with this, that you may get some queries on that from some of my colleagues, because there seemed to be a real interest in that.
So maybe talk through the
Understood.
pros and cons like we've been talking through for a long time.
I told them we had discussed it
Right.
a number of times.
I think that's still something we're still looking at. I think in the meantime, I think the daily rate increase was the best thing to do at the time. I understand that is something that I'm still not opposed to and still kind of gathering information on, and seeing how we would be able to implement that into the DACA system.
I just wanted to
and
give you a heads
everything.
up that there was some discussion about that at the budget meetings and just heads up that there seemed to be a lot of interest, just to let everybody know that.
Okay,
Yeah.
understood.
Yeah.
Yes, and, yeah, I'll be at the meeting,
Okay.
next Monday.
And Vice Mayor, wasn't there also discussion about our cancellation policy and the fact that it's pretty liberal and we give people all their money back?
You have a great memory, yeah, that's
So-
exactly, that was also
I
discussed.
was
as
there
well,
for
yeah.
part of it.
So to touch on that, we are putting that in the fee schedule, and there's gonna be a $50, cancellation fee.
Okay, great.
Well, if we're doing variable rates, I think a good starting point for council or everybody would probably be just the 3 geographic areas, you know.
If we think about
it-
that over time.
Yeah, and then maybe that'd be a good starting
Yeah,
point,
right.
Correct.
because that's kind of the preferences there.
Because right now, we're right in the middle with anything. If we increase the monthly rate, it would have put us way out of contention with everybody else. I kind of want to still be fair and reasonable with everybody else. So.
Nice article in the paper a couple weeks ago from our meeting. And it was over on August 28th.
Yeah, unfortunately, he
Forget it all.
conflated 2 different meetings there, so, this starting there
Oh,
really was like from 2 meetings before that. So I did send them a message saying, hey, thanks for the information, but you kind of
Oh, you're
smushed,
right.
you smushed 2 meetings together.
Curtis, do you ever have to move boats because like they're in a boat that has a wider swing or something like that, and you got another boat coming in and you ask them to move, or does that ever happen? Do we ever ask people to
That
move?
has happened to me when we first started. That happened when I first took the position. We had a smaller boat. The bigger mooring field was for the bigger vessels, I should say, was pretty full at the time. We had a smaller vessel in that spot. I had a bigger vessel coming in, so I had to change that out. But since then, I've talked with my team. When we get reservations of that nature, I've kind of put in a system and the questions that they have to ask the customers. How big's their boat? What's their mast height for the bridge? And we put requirements of what size vessels are allowed to be in the bigger mooring field, and then if they can go under the bridge, pretty much a mast height of 60 foot and greater is going to be out in the bigger
I would just try
mooring
and play-
field. Everything else is going to get pushed
Yeah.
underneath the bridge.
I was
to
just
our
trying to play
backfields.
devil's advocate to say if we start making different sections more exclusive than others, and then, then somebody reserves that, I don't know that we have the same, it's kind of different making somebody move them when they
Correct.
chose a
I-
more exclusive area.
I don't, I don't like to move people once I set them.
Yeah.
I kind of want to, I think that we could do, I think that my team can, we can put things in place and have control of who gets where and kind of eliminate that circumstance altogether, and that's what I've been trying to do.
At one time, there was a map, chart with the circumference of each, the radius of each, ball.
Correct.
Are we still in the same spots with the same radius?
Yes, we are. So on DACA, for us, the system, the side that we see, each ball tells me what boat is rated for each ball and what available spots I have to put certain size vessels, so. And one last thing, I need to inform you all, I had 2 people last week move on, so I have 2 openings right now available.
Is that
So-
leaving you shorthanded, or you got enough to fill up your day, your days off a little bit?
We have enough. We're
For now.
we're making it happen. Does leave us a little shorthanded, but
Were those the new hires? Were either the new hires that we just hired or somebody else?
well, all three of them pretty much were
So they
new
were all new
hires.
Yeah, so two of them
Yes.
resigned?
Yes, yes, sir.
So you're gonna seek two more in the
Yes.
next few weeks?
Correct. Yes, we already put the listing out. But that's all I have. On my agenda here this morning.
So
So
you're almost done. Now we'll do the Q and A. Anybody with questions or comments for our harbor master? Ed?
I actually, I was gonna save it for later, but
You can do it under your members item if it was something.
sure, I just,
Either way.
you talked about a new engine being ordered for our pontoon boat.
Oh, yes.
Is that all?
So it is in. I should be getting a day this week of when to take the pontoon boat in.
Okay, so it's arrived and it's just.
It has.
needs to be-
It arrived at the end of last week. So,
Okay.
So
And a new pump for the pump out boat was recently installed, I believe.
Correct.
2 months ago, and everything's working good with that.
everything's fine with that.
Okay. Yeah, that's all I.
We've had to
I
make a
for
little bit of
Curtis.
tweaks, but nothing crazy. And yes, we're operating just fine with that.
That's all I would add for Curtis, thank you.
Chris,
Nope.
anything now? I had a couple things real quick, because I was out there yesterday, and is it ball 45? I don't know, whatever, wherever there literally is, the only thing showing is about as big as this microphone with a little piece of red tape on the end. What's the update on, that's not, is it ball 45? It's next to ball 44. That sunken obstruction there that's,
Yes, so I have to talk to the Marine unit with LCSO on that. I did a run of the mooring field last week along with our Anchorage vessels that are out there. They have a few tags on some of those boats in the Anchorage, so I'm gonna follow up with them to see what's going on with that. And then I want to ask them about that wreckage. I thought it was already going to be removed already, so that's something that I'll
and
follow up.
I know it's quite a process, sometimes you can't really get permission, but if you can mention next time you talk to somebody about that, if we could either put, I don't know, a solar anchor light or solar strobe or maybe something on there, so at night, you could barely see it during the day, and at night, it looks like a coat hanger sticking out of there.
Correct.
I don't think anybody could see it. Not that anybody would be there, but if somebody came into, an adjacent mooring ball, they might approach from that way, or just somebody that's going through the channel.
Just curious, Sam, was that at high tide when you went through there?
We went through it super high tide. In fact,
So-
Matanzas was underwater, and there was still a little bit showing, maybe 2 or 3 feet
Okay,
showing
Okay,
of that
I'll
mountain.
get on that right after this.
Okay, is it down to me? I just had a couple quick ones, or one more quick one. I'm being redundant and repetitive again, but we really like that green, yellow, red, and we were doing that with coastal engineering with the, when you inspected the mooring balls, the ones that were perfectly in great shape ended up getting a green. The ones that were usable but had upcoming maintenance, and then we had the red where they do not use. And did you ever see the reports that we
Yes,
did?
yes,
Yeah,
yes, I know what
and-
you're talking about.
Yeah, it was a kind of a good format, so maybe when coastal engineering and you're doing, some of your instructions.
Correct, yes,
it
we
would get-
we
or
are
something
gonna,
similar.
we're gonna have a log and everything, a maintenance log and everything that's similar to what that was, right? And, yes, I'm gonna keep track of all that and everything, and, once I create that, I can share that with you.
So yesterday, I did have the occasion to talk to Jeff, the dock master at Matanzas,
Oh,
who
okay.
speaks highly of you. And he's a great guy, and I told him I was on the committee, and I asked him, are you the one on the radio? Or maybe it's you. Somebody's on the radio a lot. Please slow down in the wake zones, and it's all rental boats. So I just didn't know if it would help you out, if you wanted me to maybe construct an email to all these marinas and Freedom and all the people that are renting out boats, to remind them to be very careful in that area, that they're responsible. It's a no-wake area, because we are getting a lot of people flying through there. aren't
We are, I've tried to, slow a lot of people down here in the last.
And see, that's
last couple
confrontational
weeks.
for you, but if it comes from me in an email, is that something you would like me to pursue?
I don't think that's a bad idea at all. I mean, just be courteous in the whole thing and,
Yeah.
you know, and,
Just a reminder.
Correct.
So I'll get together
Perfect.
with you on that, but
Okay.
I keep, every time I'm out and I turn on that radio, that's half the announcements are, please slow down your rental boat going through the Anchorage. And some of it's from the Anchorage people, it might be from everybody else too, but that seems to be a chronic problem that I know they tell these people, but, you know, they're renting out the boats. But they also have GPS, I'm pretty sure they have GPS trackers in most of these rental boats, so they know how fast these people are
Right.
going. So maybe as a reminder, that would help you out a little bit.
sounds good. Thank you, Sam.
That's all for me. Anybody else for Curtis?
I mean, Sammy, were you talking about like going all the way through the Anchorage? Is that what you were talking about, all the way down, or
Well, the whole thing's a no wake all the way, you know, for.
slow
from-
speed, isn't it?
Slow, oh, yeah.
I think it's slow speed, so just when you send that email, just be careful of
You know
not
what?
saying.
I'll make sure I read the signs next time before I
I
send that.
think it's slow speed.
Yeah, in fact, maybe I'll take a picture of the sign
Mm-hmm.
and send it with the email, with the mooring field in the
Yeah,
background
good idea.
as a reminder to them. Because it is kind of confusing. There's a lot of places that say, please start a slower, and you're like, oh, wow, I could have gone fast. But it's
Right.
because of intersecting canals, they're reminding people all the time.
But they go faster than that. I mean,
They
that's-
go
yeah,
fast.
They
Yes.
put out a weight, yeah,
They fly through there.
trim up.
And you just wait for the guys in the mooring field to yell back at them. Anything else for Curtis? Okay. Move on to member items and reports. So, John Wesley Nash, if, I'm gonna leave my phone out. If you are watching and want to call in, you can try to call us on my phone, and we'll put you on speaker. And so we'll start our member reports. If he calls in, we'll take a break. But, Ed, anything?
No, not really. I just wanted to thank Captain Curtis and Mr. Chad. We ask a lot of questions during these meetings, and I can't think of one time that you haven't, if you didn't have the answer right away, you do at the very next meeting. So, and Chad too, so I just wanted to tell you, I appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
Okay. Just two things I want to point out on the agenda. The next Anchorage Advisory Committee, I believe, is October 28th, not September.
Correct.
And then, this is not for discussion today, but I am interested in learning more about what the heck Cruiser Appreciation Day is and how we can assist. So maybe for a future agenda, we could add that?
Yeah, in fact, you know what, it's almost time to start adding it, so I think we'll add it on, because we're gonna be, even if we're not planning it, we're gonna be picking dates, and since we hadn't had one in a couple years, that's something that we're gonna add. I'm gonna have to add something else on our agenda too, so when we get to the agenda, we'll add that on, Chris Appreciation Day.
That's it for me?
That's it. And for me, I just had a couple things real quick. We got a couple reapplications coming up. So we've got Ted, and I think, were you able to get the paperwork done and meet with somebody? Jim, were you able to meet with somebody and get your paperwork? Because the deadline is in a couple days.
I didn't meet with anyone, but she actually followed up with the application, and I resubmitted that, and she said everything was good,
So you, everything's good?
Yeah.
I did the same, and John Wesley Nash is up for re-up. I think he knew that, and I think he's applied. If he hasn't, we have just a couple more days to get that in, and you can come to town hall with Amy, or pretty much anyone out front can at least help you get started on it.
As Amy walks through and
No.
shoots us. Death deer.
Right on cue.
Yeah.
And Mr. Chairman, I believe we still have one vacancy in addition to
Yes.
that, so if folks are listening,
Yes.
there's still time to apply for that vacancy.
please. And I think that's it for me for now. Ted?
Nothing.
Jim?
No, I mean, I agree with Ed's comments about Curtis. I had several things written down, and Curtis actually hit every one of them in there, so great job, Curtis. Unfortunately, I do have a conflict on the 28th, and I am flying. I'm on a plane, so I won't be able to call in. I mean, normally I would try to call in. And that's really saying why I feel guilty a little bit about, but, you know, in full transparency, you know, when I applied for this, you know, there wasn't someone local that wanted to take the position, so I knew I would miss a few, and that's still the case moving forward, but I did reapply, but, you know, I just have to qualify that by saying that my job has to, you know, has some
And
conflicts.
We understand, and for now, I understand there's a discussion, but for now, I think I can speak for everybody, we're happy to have you on we're glad, and we want to keep you as long as we can. If at some point it comes to a full committee,
Understood.
that's up to council, but in the meantime, if you want to watch on YouTube after you
Oh, I
get to your
certainly will.
destination, you can't communicate with us, but you can always, you know, with the
Yep.
vice mayor or any member of council, or save your notes for the next meeting.
I will definitely watch.
Because it's riveting, you know it is.
It is riveting.
It's must-see TV.
Absolutely.
Okay, we can go around again. Does anybody have anything else for Curtis
Thank
or
you. Vice Mayor, did
Vice
you
Mayor?
have anything?
Oh,
I think all my issues were covered during the meeting. Thank you very much.
everybody all set? We can move on to public comment. I don't see any public, so we can move on to setting the next meeting's agenda. So Curtis, I'd like to add 2 items.
Okay.
We can add Cruisers Appreciation Day, maybe between after staff report and before members' items, or really anywhere would be fine. And we are gonna add one more item, which is after the Pledge of Allegiance, we're gonna have you can just label it reorganization vote. So a lot of you haven't been here, but every time we have a re-up or a renewal of the membership, you know, every couple of years, we reorganize the chairman and the vice chairman. So we'll have that vote after the Pledge of Allegiance.
And then it's called what?
Turn up, I would just label it reorganization vote. Well, is that the right?
Election
That's a
of
fair
officers.
characterization.
Yeah, and we just elect a new chair, a chairman and a vice
Or
chairman.
election of officers or something
Oh,
like that.
yeah,
Would that
maybe
be
that's it,
better?
election of, yeah, reorganization vote, election of officers. And our next meeting will be, and from now on, unless otherwise announced, will be the 4th Monday of every month, so that falls on October 28th at 9 a.m.
There was a question about the 25th that, I don't know if we addressed it last meeting.
Yeah, about the Thanksgiving
It was
meeting.
close to Thanksgiving. It's not a problem for me, but if, I would understand certainly if it was for other members.
That's gonna be the Monday prior to Thanksgiving, so it wouldn't be the hangover the leftover Monday there. Did anybody else bother to check their calendars and to see if there's a conflict? I'm okay with the 25th.
I definitely will not be here, but I could join that one by call. I'll be on
Okay.
vacation, so I'll be out. But
And maybe let's mention that, just in case,
This is in
You know.
November.
Yeah.
yeah, maybe mention that next or mention that so that we can do the vote on the Zoom thing before
Right.
before we even get to it.
Right.
You know, just to let you
Oh,
come.
because that's the following,
Yeah.
that's the 20, okay.
Yeah, that's.
That way we can
November.
approve it and we can get you
Absolutely,
on,
right,
get you on all the TVs.
perfect.
Yeah, the 25th is fine.
Yeah, so the next one will be the November 25th at 9 a.m., which is what was previously scheduled.
That's the week of Thanksgiving,
Right.
correct?
Yeah, but it's the Monday before
Right.
Thanksgiving, not so,
And then would we skip December,
Oh.
or we can talk about that next time?
you know, we'll have to talk about that
Yeah,
next time,
that's
because
what
that's
we'll
gonna be
do.
right near Christmas.
Right,
So
right.
put that
December
on a-
23rd,
on
yeah.
the
Yeah,
subject
discussion
of
of-
Discussions, yep.
Yeah,
And if we decide to, maybe we can cover whatever we, what's timely for that, if we decide not to have a meeting.
Yep. I mean, maybe we can look at what dates would fall in 2025. Oh boy, that's scary. And just to see if there are any big.
If we want to keep this, yeah. if
Well,
there's
just if there are any big,
like a Monday holiday or something.
Right, exactly.
Sure. And, yeah, we'll look at the whole calendar.
Yeah.
That way we don't have to wait until the last month before. Does anyone else have any comments, questions? If not, do I hear a motion for adjournment?
I'll move to adjourn.
Moved by Ed?
Second.
Second by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None? We are adjourned at 10:07.